In the beginning, there were big waves and big boards made entirely of wood. It took an Iron Man to ride them. The history of surfing comes from these warriors who were the pioneers of the sport. We are gathered today to pay homage to these men and women and their boards at the opening ceremonies of the Iron Men and Wooden Boards exhibition.
Of individuals really brought together Jane Schmaus, Stuart Reeser, and quite a few other people. And in the beginning, the museum was out of Jane's restaurant, George's, right up the street here on 101. And then we got this place, and this is our second display, and it's entitled Iron Man on Wooden Boards. It takes the history of surfing, the color and the pageantry just out of the air and installs it in the people that comes through. And we're just real happy with it.
Where did most of these surfboards come from? How did you collect these?
99% of these boards are through private collections, individuals who put them on loan for us for the duration. And if it wasn't for all the volunteers and all the good people with their private collections, none of this could be possible.
The kinds of boards that we have here today, Gary?
Well, we have the full spectrum from turn-of-the-century redwood ala boards from Hawaii to production balsas from the 50s. We have Belzy Jacobs, we have O'Neill, to very rare Bob Simmons boards. We have what we believe is the largest collection of Bob Simmons boards in the world. And we have 3 of his boards on display right here. And also with Tom Blake paddle boards. So we run from the turn of the century all the way up till the time that balsas came out of vogue, which would have been around 1958, 1959.
Well, this is our second exhibit here in Encinitas in this location, and basically what the museum does, since we don't have a permanent location, is we just call all the people on our resource list and say, this is the theme of the exhibit, what have you got? And so out of the woodwork have come the most fantastic array of wooden boards, from old redwood Hawaiian planks right up to hollow balsas, and they're just fabulous. There is a small core of volunteer people that keep this happening. And as the phone has been ringing off the hook for the last 2 weeks with people wanting more information about the museum and what can they do, and my grandmother used to surf in the islands type stories, we just need the manpower to bring it together and get a permanent location. The interest, the timing, everything is right.
Thank you, Jane, but you're the one that made it all happen, babe.
Well, I'm delighted to help. Really.
We're delighted to have you do it.
Good.
My board is made of balsa wood. It's from the mid-1950s. It's an early hot dog style board, shaped by Dale Belzy, and I got it from Jerry Calkins, who's a surf photographer and old-time surfer, and he found it under a house that he had lived in for years and years, and just got lucky when he was going under to check the plumbing.
This is Bill Wilson. He has an extensive collection of wooden boards, many of which are on display here today. Can you tell us a little bit about your board collection, Bill?
Well, what I have here today is a Hobie board, balsa, number 609, which Hobie Alder told me was shaped in January 1955, and had Hobie sign that board recently up in Dana Point. And then also I have Pacific Systems Homes 11.6 balsa redwood that I recently procured from Fred Hemmings over in Hawaii, from the Surf Museum over there in Hawaii. And recently had a Bob Simmons 1949 that somebody now has up in Northern California.
How did you get started doing this, Bill?
Oh, I've always loved the beauty of surfboards back in the early 60s when I got interested, and subsequently now I started collecting probably 2 years ago, and then just fell in love with the shape, the beauty, the sculpture, the shapers, the whole thing about boards. And from now I'm looking at just any kind of unique, different kind of shape. To me, they're a form of sculpture which will have a everlasting, enduring value.
Have you ever had a chance to take one of them out and actually surf it?
Oh yeah.
And how was that?
Great. Ancient redwood.
People just get right out of your way.
1910, yeah. Ancient redwood, solid redwood coming at you at about 20 miles an hour. They move, yeah.
My wave, my beach. We have here today Hans Newman, one of San Diego's most famous surfboard collectors, especially collecting old wooden boards. I believe he has some boards in the show today. Is that right, Hans?
Yes, sir. Got Jack O'Neill's old board from Santa Cruz. Got what we believe to be one of the first Gordon and Smith boards, balsa wood. And I've got an original Simmons board, unrestored condition, and a Pat Curran balsa gun.
How'd you get involved in collecting wooden boards?
When I was a little kid, the neighbor across the street paid me $5 to take his board out of his garage. And the next summer it got stolen. And I've been looking for it ever since.
You know, I started this surfing when I was pretty young. And I couldn't ride the boards that were out there. There was redwoods and there were paddle boards, and I just designed them, cut them down, whittled on them, shortened them, chopped them in half until I got something that just sort of worked pretty good. And that was a long time ago. They were all out of redwood then, and they were pine. We had cedar, balsa wood, but not a lot of balsa wood when I first started, mostly all redwood. It just, coming back to me, I went mostly to balsa wood after a while. Redwoods were just too heavy.
We were just speaking to Dale Velsey. Dale brought another famous surfer, surf photographer, old-time dude over, Leroy Granis. Can you tell us a little bit about what you've seen about surfing over your life?
He's seen plenty.
He's seen plenty.
Well, I started surfing in 1931 at the age of 14, and I've seen it all since. Nothing specific I can tell you. I saw it grow from the long boards to the short boards.
When you paddle out now and catch a big wave, does it give you that same thrill as it always did?
Still does. Hasn't changed a bit. I still get on every morning the first thing and check it, and if I can get an hour in, that makes my day.
Perfect. When you see some of the boards in here, have you seen any boards that you have ridden yourself or that some of your friends have ridden?
I haven't seen any specific that I have ridden. Of course, I ran into Bob Simmons a few times back when he was alive and saw him ride. And a lot of the boards in there I'm familiar with because I knew a lot of the riders. But specifically, no, I haven't ridden any of those boards. I used to shape my own and I'd sell them or get them cracked up and throw them away.
As big as these surfboards are, I guess it really did take an Iron Man to paddle these things out and maneuver them around.
Well, that's one of the reasons I didn't get started till I was 14, because I couldn't lug the board into the water till then. If I'd have started at this age, I would have been able to get in the water a lot earlier. I rode belly boards probably for that same reason, because I couldn't handle the bigger boards till later.
You've also had a little fame as a surf photographer.
Well, that came about from getting an ulcer working in a management job with a phone company. And my doctor said, "You got something you can do to get your mind off of the phone company?" I said, "Yeah, I'll try surfing photography." So in 1958, I bought a couple of cameras and started shooting seriously about 1960. Found out that I could compete and that I knew a little about surfing, so I really got involved in it for 15 or 20 years. I'm still into photography, but primarily windsurfing now.
And now the ulcer's gone.
Yes.
There you have it, folks. Another life saved through surfing. 60 years and still cooking. Thank you, Leroy. Well, we have here with us one of the first famous women surfers, Linda Benson. Lyndon was an early world champion. Can you tell us a little bit about your experience with surfing throughout your life, Linda?
Well, I was born and raised here in Encinitas, and started surfing right down here, Moonlight Beach, probably about 1955. I went to Hawaii in 1959 for what was our world contest then. And that had been going on for a while, but that same year I won the United States contest. It was the first year they had it at Huntington Beach, the first U.S. title, and won that one there, and won it a few more times.
And you see these wooden boards on display here. What kind of memories does that bring back, Linda?
Well, I never really surfed a wood board, a wooden board. They had a redwood. Velsey Jacobs had started, with the foam, balsa wood. And they were beautiful. I mean, they were really a work of art. Every board had a different, the grain of the wood was different, and they were so pretty.
Thank you, Linda, and keep on surfing. We have Pat O'Connor, reputed to be a famous old surf dude, with us here. Once a member of the Hermosa Beach Surf Club, right?
Right.
And been surfing for off and on for how long, Pat?
Well, since 1940, when I started, I was a kid then.
Do you have any great stories about any of these famous surfers that come to mind?
Well, Grannis was a surfer, Leroy Grannis, and I knew him when I was a little kid. And he was kind of like Joe DiMaggio when I was a little kid. He was one of the great style surfers. Palos Verdes Surfing Club that he belonged to had a lot of great surfers, and he was one of them. And as a kid, I really had a lot of different surfers I liked. Hop Swartz was a great surfer and a great stylist. Guy had all kinds of moves, and all of us kids tried to copy his moves, you know.
All right, and here's a man who's been going for it for more than half his life.
Yeah.
Pat O'Connor,
yeah.
surfer extraordinaire. Thank you, Pat.